Hey everyone, welcome back to Love Wins, where the truth matters because it's the truth that sets us free. And today we are exploring in our second video on the Sabbath, not what it is, not when it is, but what it is. And I'm wearing my Dimensions of Love t-shirt I got from Sonny. There he is. Him and his family have a ministry called Dimensions of Love. And if you want to know more about it, just leave a comment below the video and I'll get back to you. All right, we started in the first video. We looked at the Gospels quickly. We looked at one story in particular where you see this constant clash between Jesus and the church of his day, who very much knew when the Sabbath was, but had no idea what it was. And I'm not sure a lot has changed. So having grown up in a church that's big on when the Sabbath is, I have humbly come to the realization we don't really know what it is, and I want to help change that. Now, I'm one little voice crying out in the wilderness. I hope that this truth is being shared with other people and that it spreads like wildfire. It is beautiful. So I want you to come to the Old Testament. We're going to be in Exodus chapter 16, and we're going to be looking at the Israelites. They've just left Egypt. They're 45 days into their journey. They haven't yet got to Sinai, but they're getting close, and they run out of food. And of course, they start complaining, and God responds by not only giving them food, but by giving them food and reintroducing the Sabbath in one shot to teach something super profound. 16 verse 2. Then the whole congregation of the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. No food. You got to fix it. Notice who they're complaining against. If you read the next few verses, you'll find out that in their spiritual immaturity, they don't know God very well. They've been slaves for centuries. Their concept of God is very small. I'm coming to the humble realization ours is small too. God is reintroducing himself to them in tangible ways, in practical ways that they can touch and understand, to teach big things that they don't understand. So they have no food, and they're hungry, and they whine, and they complain, and that's all completely understandable. And Moses and Aaron say, why are you complaining to us? It's not us, it's God. They had actually said, you brought us out of Egypt. They didn't. God did. We're going to pick it up in verse 9. Moses said to Aaron, say to all the congregation of the children of Israel, come near before the Lord, for he has heard your complaints. God hears you. Now it came to pass, as Aaron spoke to the whole congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud, that cloud that had led them all the way from Egypt. It was a cloud that gave them shade in the day. It was a pillar of fire that kept them warm on those cold desert nights. It had always been with them, leading them. And the Lord spoke to Moses from the cloud, saying, I have heard the complaints of the children of Israel. He hears us. Speak to them, saying, at twilight you shall eat meat. In the morning you shall be filled with bread, and you shall know that I am the Lord your God. I'm going to feed you, but I'm going to do more than feed you. I'm going to reveal myself to you. So it was that quails came up at evening and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay all around the camp. Food. Now you would think that 10 plagues in Egypt, going through the Red Sea on dry land, seeing the sea close on the Egyptian army and set them free forever, not only from their presence in Egypt, but the threat of them following them, God took care of everything. You would think after all that, they danced, they sang, they praised, that they would never doubt again. But we're not like that. Our past experiences, our past fears, and our past traumas, as soon as they're triggered, they come back again. And it takes multiple experiences for our perspective to really change. And God knows that. So he's doing a new thing to reveal himself to them. Verse 14. When the layer of dew lifted, there on the surface of the wilderness was a small round substance as fine as frost on the ground. When the children of Israel saw it, they said to one another, what is it? For they did not know what it was. And Moses said to them, This is the bread which the Lord has given you to eat. Sorry, I was talking and thinking at the same time there. The word we use for this food is manna, and manna is simply a Hebrew word that means, what is it? They didn't know what it was. Never seen it before. 16. This is the thing which the Lord has commanded. Let every man gather it according to each one's need. 1 omer for each person, according to the number of persons. Let every man take for those who are in his tent. Then the children of Israel did so, and gathered, some more, some less. When they measured it by omers, he who gathered much had nothing left over, and he who gathered little had no lack. Every man had gathered according to each one's need. And Moses said, let no one leave any of it until morning. So take what you need for today. There's plenty for everyone to get what they need for today. Take only what you need. You'll have plenty, but don't take extra. Do not keep it overnight. Don't do that. Verse 20. Notwithstanding, or but, or however, they did not heed, they did not listen, they did not do what Moses said. But some of them left part of it until morning, and it bred worms, and it stank. Rotten. Gross. And Moses was angry with them. It was a simple little instruction. They didn't listen. Now, if you look at it from their perspective, it's easy to understand why they didn't listen, but that's not an excuse for not listening. So the why for not listening is, we didn't have food yesterday. And there's no guarantee that whatever happened today, we don't even know what this is. There's no guarantee that whatever this is going to happen tomorrow. There was the first plague, and it was never repeated. There was a second plague in Egypt, it was never repeated. There was a third plague, it was never repeated. We crossed the Red Sea once. We have never seen a miracle that repeats. So they took extra, just in case. Not realizing that even if they took extra, if God wasn't going to continue to do for them what he said he was going to do for them, they would have been hungry the next day or the next day. There is nothing that we can do to defend ourselves or to supply for ourselves if God is not truly our provider. And I could spend a long time unpacking that one. Whether it's forest fires, whether it's droughts, whether it's flooding, whether it's whatever. If God's world does not keep marching on the way he designed for it to work, there is nothing that we could do to stop it or change it or save ourselves. It's his mercy. It's his provision. It's his care that keeps all of us fed and prospering from day to day. So don't take for tomorrow. Take what you need for today. Trust me, they didn't. 21. So they gathered every morning, every man according to his need, and when the sun became hot, it melted. And so it was on the 6th day. So he started on the first day. The Bible doesn't name the days, it just numbers them. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. So first day, second day, third day. So God started this lesson, this supplying of food on the first day. And on the second day, some had kept extra. It was rotten, it stank, so they stopped doing that. So on the second day, food came. On the third day, food came. On the fourth day, food came every morning, every morning, every morning. They get to the 6th day in verse 22. On the 6th day, they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one, and all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. He said to them, "You have done what the Lord has said. Tomorrow is the Sabbath rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake what you will bake today, boil what you will boil today. You can prepare it any way you want, but prepare half of what you've gathered for tomorrow. Lay it up for yourselves, all that remains. Keep it until the morning." Now a logical, critical, science-minded person would say, well, that's not going to work. We tried that on Sunday, it didn't work. Let's continue. So they laid up until morning, as Moses commanded, and it did not stink, nor were there any worms in it. And Moses said, "Eat that today, for today is a Sabbath to the Lord. Today you will not find it in the field. 6 days you will gather it, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, there will be none." Now it happened that some of the people went out on the Sabbath day to gather, but they found none. The same Spirit that made people keep extra on the first day till the second day is the same Spirit that sent them out looking for more on the seventh day. It's the spirit of, I'm going to do it myself. I have to see for myself. I have to take care of myself. That's how I have to do it. And against that idea, God says you don't need to take care of yourself. You aren't where you are right now because of anything you did. You are where you are right now with Egypt in the rearview mirror because of what I did. And I didn't bring you out here to die. And I didn't bring you out here to forget you. And I didn't bring you out here to be in misery. But I know that if you don't learn to trust me, there is nothing I can do to prevent your misery. Because you will always think of something to worry about. You will always think of something that you're lacking or might lack. You will always in your head have no rest unless you learn to find your rest in me. So I prevented you from keeping food from day to day so that you would learn that I will supply for your need every day, fresh every day. And when Friday came, I asked you on the sixth day, gather twice as much. And inside your heart, you said, well, that's not going to work. We tried that. Yeah, but it didn't work because I said it wouldn't work. But now I'm telling you it will work. And it'll only work on Fridays. And it'll only work that one day of the week because tomorrow is a day of rest. That's what Sabbath means. Tomorrow you don't need to go out and gather. Tomorrow you don't need to cook. You're going to take care of all of that today on the sixth day. And when tomorrow comes, you can rest. You can rest. And somehow we've limited that idea of rest to activity and non-activity. But that's clearly not what God is teaching here. He's teaching them that rest is trust. Listen. Now it happened that some of the people went out on the seventh day to gather, but they didn't find any. Surprise. And the Lord said to Moses, how long do you refuse to keep my instructions and my laws? In other words, and we could break down the Hebrew and what those words mean. Too many times we take the words and translate them as commandments when that's not what it should say. What God is simply saying there is, how long will you not listen to me? How long will you not trust me? How long will you take matters into your own hands as if you are your own Savior? How long will you treat me as if I'm an incompetent parent, an uncaring parent, an unseeing parent, an unknowing parent, an unable parent? How long? "29. See, for the Lord has given you the Sabbath. Therefore he gives you on the sixth day bread for 2 days. Let every man remain in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the seventh day." So the people rested. They had Sabbath on the seventh day. The truth is, if we learn what God is teaching here, we will have rest every day. Every single day. I thought I could do this in 2. I'm going to do it in 3. In our next video, I'm going to take you to the book of Hebrews. We're going to link the New Testament back to the Old Testament. We're going to bring them together, and we're going to see how beautiful, how simple, and how good God is. We'll see you next time.